racing, deciding if they could make it on fuel, would they have to go for a splash and go. But then the IndyCar officials came by and informed them about the time race. They were trying to calculate it themselves, and then it appeared as though there was a big sigh of relief as they made a little pool around the engineer saying, can we make it? Can we make it? And they hesitated, but they did shake their head in the affirmative. They think they can do it. But they have really throttled back the fuel, Paul.
Well, the battle is not for the lead. Vassar has it by 10 seconds. Then Greg Moore sits back another 15 seconds in third place. The real battle is fourth. Raul Boesel, Gugelmin, De Ferran, Christian Fittipaldi, all right together.
And of course, they've all bunched up, but they've probably been told by their pits, we've got enough fuel, go ahead and turn it back up to 100% or 98% so you can run and take a run at those other guys. We saw that shot earlier where they were all bunched very closely together.
And an indication from some of the course marshals here that Raul Boesel, currently fourth, may be slowing. In fact, he is on the course. And Gugelmin and De Ferran and Fittipaldi have all jumped around him. Trying to discover, did he run out of fuel?
Well, of course, we're listening there, and we're on board with Jimmy Vassar. He doesn't seem to be short-shifting or backing off at all. He's just going.
Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, according to Barry Green, he thinks they may have a fuel pickup problem because the engine has just starved itself to death. He said, our readout shows that we should have had sufficient fuel, but we see this often in the late stages of races. The fuel pickup fails, and even though you've got some in the tank, it doesn't get to the engine.
In fact, that's something, Jack, that happened.
There's the interval second to third. Sorry to interrupt you, Danny.
That's okay. But in fact, that's what happened to Gilles De Ferran in Brazil. When he ran out of fuel, they still had 4 gallons on board.
And on a road course, it's even more critical because it's sloshing in both directions.
That's right. Even with the foam that's in the tank to stop that, it sloshes back and forth, and they'll be starved a little bit more on a track like this.
Second place, Scott Pruitt. Battle for the championship still very tight, especially given these positions. All eyes watching the clocks now as we've just come over the 62nd lap and keeping an eye on the flagman stand as well to see which flag he's going to put into his hand as we move down to the finish of this race. Next time by, it'll be 2 scheduled laps to the finish. But we're still watching the clock.
Boy, this has got to be tough on the crews. They don't know if it's exactly at this time or it's going to be 2 laps. It's going to be a timed race. Which is going to come first and exactly how much is it?
So with Raul Boesel in trouble, he's dropped out of the top 10. And what that's done is Vassar, Pruitt, Moore. You can see Moore is beginning to reel Pruitt in. Then Gugelmin, De Ferran, that's the top 5. Then Christian Fittipaldi, Stefan Johansson, Eddie Lawson, Andre Ribeiro, and Al Unser Jr. There's De Ferran, who's also reeling in Gugelmin. So we've got some good battles back behind the leader. All right, let's go to Jan Beekes.
Well, a quick report on Jimmy Vassar. And we talked with Steve Chalice, his engineer, and he said, we are now going to give him the fuel to try and chase down Scott Pruitt. We think we have enough. We're going to richen it up, and he's going to go for it. So Greg Moore right now trying to close that gap on Scott Pruitt.
We'll try and track him, too. Remember, the coverage here comes from Channel 10 Australia. We don't control it, and hopefully they will take a look back and keep track at Greg Moore chasing Scott Pruitt.
Those 2
There's Moore there.
Those 2 cars we were just watching, Maurizio Gugelmin and that red and white and yellow car, and the yellow car of Gilles De Ferran, both of those guys have experienced spins today, yet they're back up and they're battling for 4th and 5th.
63 laps into the record book. In his hand, Jens Quintal has the white flag and looks for the leader of the race as he comes by. So we'll go the distance. He's over on the backside, paralleling the Pacific Ocean and heading north as the sun begins to fall behind the buildings here.
Notice how he stayed away from the curb that time. He wasn't going to jump over it this close to the finish. He's being very conservative. He's got a good lead. He doesn't want to make any mistakes at this point.
11.5-second margin right now over second place. so as he comes off, we should be able to see him. There we'll see the white flag. And I'll tell you what, especially with a long course here, nearly 3 miles, 2.8. The laps around here so long that you can imagine what's going through his head every lap.
He isn't being that conservative, though. I saw him slide it out of that corner. He's having fun.
You can see the white flag. One more lap to go for Jimmy Vasser. Pruitt still holding off Greg Moore. Jimmy Vasser, just a pure race driver. It's all he's ever wanted to do. It's all he pays any attention to.
Jimmy told me the other day at the beach, he said, I've been racing since I was 5 years old. He said, I started then with my dad running little quarter midgets. And he said, we used to race all through the summer. His dad's got to be pretty proud right now.
Absolutely. Mom's here watching him. May see him take his first IndyCar win that she's able to see. He, of course, won at Miami. She was not there. And they continue to maintain position at the front of the field of Vasser, Pruitt, Greg Moore. Christian Fittipaldi has just made a move on Stefan Johansson, and Christian has moved into 5th place. Johansson down to 6th. And DeFerrin has dropped back as well. He's now down in 7th place. We've got the radio open on Jimmy Vasser's two-way communications. That channel is open.
They probably don't want to talk to him too much right now. They want to break that concentration. When he comes across the start-finish line, I think they'll start talking a little bit more.
Talking about history as we watch this final lap unfold. Jack Brabham drove the Cooper Climax around here that he started the rear engine revolution with at Indy. And here's the final corner as Jimmy Vasser lines up victory number 2 in the Indy cars and takes the twin checkered flags here at Surfers Paradise, Australia. Keeping an eye on the battle for second place. We'll watch it as we go to Jan Vikas.
Well, the pit crew here, as elated, these guys are absolutely thrilled. Tom Anderson and the crew absolutely elated here for Jimmy Vasser. These guys put on a good car. Chip Ganassi also getting the congratulations with Robert Clark from Honda. These guys are pumped.
And Scott Pruitt holds off the charge by Greg Moore. So Pruitt is 2nd, followed by Moore in 3rd, then Mauricio Gugelmin, Christian Fittipaldi, Stefan Johansson, Eddie Lawson, and Andre Ribeiro. We'll be back.
Face it, no other razor shaves closer or with more comfort than Gillette Sensor XL. Soft microfibs that protect your skin and individually spring-mounted twin blades that adjust to your face. No razor feels more comfortable during your shave or leaves your face smoother after. Gillette Sensor XL. And try new Gillette Aftershave, a splash that moisturizes as it refreshes.
Target teammates, Alex Zanardi and Jimmy Vasser.
Alex? Hey, there's nobody better. I mean, he was born to drive.
I'm new to the Target team, but Jimmy has made me feel right at home.
Alex is the fastest thing on 4 wheels. Really.
Words cannot describe how I feel about Jimmy.
The new RAV4 from Toyota. It's out there.
Wendy's new country French chicken tastes so delicious.
Bonjour, Dave. Bonjour.
It has everyone speaking French. Could it be Wendy's country French roll?
Comment ça va, Dave? Bien.
The Swiss topped with Dave's tangy Dijon sauce.
Bonjour, Dave. Bonjour.
Or Wendy's whole breast fillet.
C'est magnifique. Merci.
Whatever. It's a sandwich so delicious, only Dave could have made it.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Dave.
Bonjour, mes amis.
He's got to be stopped.
Come try Wendy's new country French chicken.
It's their first major of the year, their first chance to show the others what they're made of. More than just a golf tournament, it's the Nabisco Dinosaur on ABC.
Tonight on ABC, a full hour of America's Funniest Home Videos, followed by Lois and Clark. And then Emmy winner Kirstie Alley stars in a world premiere Sunday night movie event, Radiant City, tonight on ABC. Jimmy Vasser has won his second, and he is with Jack.
And Paulie's the first two-time winner of 1996, Jimmy.
It's my first time to win, too. It feels great. It's I owe it all to the team. I mean, it was the most beautiful race car I've driven in my life. It didn't do anything wrong. I was just hoping I wouldn't, and fortunately I didn't, and we won the race. So here's the Target Chip Ganassi Racing Team.
Tell me about the cone incident when it got wedged up by your helmet there.
Did it? I didn't know that. There's cones flying every time I come through there, so I didn't see any cones wedged in my helmet. One time I went through the chicane on the weekend and it hit my helmet like this, like a dunce cap, but I didn't see this one in the race.
Well, they pulled this out of your car, and they want to give it to you to keep it, kind of like a winning football. This is your Australian trophy. And for more information on Victory Lane, let's go down to Jan Beekes.
Well, Scott Pruitt had a great run today for second place, but Scott, you came here with a points lead, and now you've lost that. Jimmy Vasser first gets the pole, now he wins the race. Looks like you had a good car, but it was fuel that held you back?
Yeah, it was. First, hi to everybody back home. Yeah, it was fuel that held us back. We were struggling from the start. We knew that was going to be tough going in. The car was hooked up. The Firestone tires weren't great. The Patrick guys did a great job, but just down a little bit on fuel consumption, so we had to just, conserve.
Now, do you think that in Jimmy's case, maybe the Honda has better fuel economy, or was it his strategy to pit at different times? They had a much different window than you guys used.
Yeah, they did. Jimmy pretty well had me covered on horsepower. I think we had a little bit better car than he did, but, that's kind of one of those things that balances out. And about, 15, 20 laps into the race was about the time I started backpedaling and conserving fuel. So, I don't know. They seem to have us, but the Ford guys will go back to work. We'll see what we can do.
Scott Pruitt's piling up the points. Let's go back to Jack Arute.
Well, Jan, a podium finish for this young man, Greg Moore. But, Greg, in the end, you were trying to chase down Scott Pruitt.
Yeah, I was. I went a little bit too hard and used up my brakes towards the end there. I mean, I was catching him really hard, and then my brakes. I think that's what happened to Scott. He used his brakes up. But, I can't be any happier for the Blair Force team. I mean, I think we could have won Rio, but now we got to put our first podium finish here, and then we'll go to Long Beach, where I think we can do real well, too.
Danny Sullivan said at the top of the show that it was real important that you gain points. You did here. Let's go up topside and take a look at some of those point standings.
All right, first of all, the final standings in the race. Jimmy Vasser takes the win, followed by Scott Pruitt, Greg Moore, Mauricio Gugelmin, and Christian Fittipaldi. That's where the fight seemed to revolve the entire day, third, fourth, and fifth, as we look through the entire order here. And what does that do to the points? Well, that gives Jimmy Vasser a little firmer grip on the points battle, but it's still going to be a very tight fight. In the Nations Cup, it's the United States still running out in front, and in that Manufacturers Championship, Honda still looks very, very powerful. So, looking at the end of the day, the quickest lap and the margin of victory, and the star of the race, of course, Greg Moore, who started back in 8th position and stayed with it. Had some great problems toward the end, but finished in 3rd place. So the race has been run here. There are certainly more races upcoming as we take a look at those events upcoming in motorsports here on ABC Sports. So the ocean, the Pacific in this case, the Atlantic 2 weeks ago, now rolls somewhat peacefully ashore, though it's been churned up quite a bit here at Surfers Paradise earlier in the year. So the race is complete. Jimmy Vasser takes his second win. We're glad that despite some situations in the pits, nobody was hurt as a result of the run here in Surfers. So the IndyCar battle continues. And they will go to the beaches immediately after this race, and we'll see you in 2 weeks in Long Beach, California. I'm Paul Page for Danny Sullivan, Jack Arute, and Jan Beekes. So long.
This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.